Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and it's time to play catch up on tags. Today I am doing the Memento Mori tag created by Polyglot Reading. I was tagged by Grix, etc. This is a rather somber tag. I hope I don't take it too lighthearted. There are 8 prompts. How many books will you be able to read before you die, considering your age and statistical life expectancy? Well, as a number of fellow booktubers have pointed out, the statistics can't tell you how long you're going to live. I could die this afternoon because I'm driving to the dentist, and I could be in a terrible accident. Next week, I could be diagnosed with terminal cancer and have a few months to live. I could live to 100. That's another possibility. That's the problem. You just don't know how much time you have left. Well, to answer this question, I'm going to say that I'm going to live until 80. It's just a number. My family's long lived. I could easily live to 80 if nothing happens in between. Right now, I'm averaging about 210 books per year that I read. I think over time that's going to go down. Specifically, as I get older, my reading speed seems to be slowing down a bit. I also may get off this habit of reading shorter books. I've been reading a lot of short books in the past few years. So I'm going to say my average will be 150 books per year because I don't have any other major hobbies. So that's 3,000 more books that I'm going to read before I die, give or take a few hundred, maybe 1,000. Prompt number 2. How does this number affect your choice of books? Not at all. If I live for these 20 more years, I expect that my choices of books that I want to read will change naturally. When I was younger, I read a lot more science fiction and a lot more horror. Science fiction has dropped off dramatically since I was in high school in my mid-20s. Horror dropped off too, but horror is making a comeback. I've also started reading Westerns. Nonfiction has made an insurgence over the past few years. I'm reading a lot more nonfiction, but that could change too. I just don't know what I will be really wanting to read in 5 or 10 years. So it makes absolutely no difference to the choice I'm going to make how long I live. I will read what I want to read when I want to do it at whatever's on hand. Number 3, what will happen to your book collection once you have passed away? I made a video about this a little over a year ago. I'll put it in the description as a link. I have not watched it since then, but generally speaking, I don't know what's going to happen to my books. I have a few valuable books. I really need to point this out to my wife. So if she tells people to come haul away my library, she can pull out the ones that might be valuable. I actually don't have a lot of books that are valuable. Most of them are bookstore fodder. However, I think it was Steve Donnie who said, if I somehow got that diagnosis of terminal cancer and know I only had a short term to live, I would invite all my friends down here to Virginia, hand them a box and say, take my books home with you, what you want. Just take them. I might even let them take the valuable books too. I don't think my wife would miss it that much. It wouldn't make that much of a difference to her. So that would be a nice solution for my books. Not great for me, but if you're going out, wouldn't it be nice to reward your friends with books that they might like? That would be ideal. Honestly, someone said, They go into a used bookstore or a thrift store, and a lot of them may go into the recycling bin. Kind of sad to think about, but that's what we book people have to live with. Number 4. Is there a book that helps you cope with the disturbing fact of a limited lifespan? No, not really. I know my lifespan is limited, and once I reach the end of that, that's the end of things for me. I don't buy into this afterlife or a spiritual existence after death. And when you actually read books about the afterlife, I have noticed, I have not really read a book about an enticing afterlife. You got reincarnation in the Hindu tradition, really doesn't thrill me very much. You've got the Judeo-Christian tradition of meeting your heavenly Father and worshiping Him for eternity. And I think that sounds even worse than reincarnation. You have some other religious afterlives. I think in Mormonism, you get a planet. I'd have to research that. I don't really need a whole planet. What I'd really want in an afterlife is a large library with every book ever published. And you can have little towers of genres and subjects in. In each tower, there's a few cats and some nice comfy chairs and maybe a fireplace. So in your afterlife, you can go to the Renaissance room, pick up Shakespeare, sit in a chair, and have a cat join you. Now that would be my idea of a great afterlife. I don't know any books that have that in them. So the answer to that is no. No books that help me cope with my limited lifespan. Number 5. Which book on this topic do you consider the most witty or entertaining? I don't necessarily think there are witty or entertaining books on that subject. I want to read one little poem, sort of about death, but it's more about living, actually, even though it's about death, because you want to make sure when you're living that you live and don't die prematurely. And this is a poem by Thomas Hardy, The Dead Man Walking. They hail me as one living, but don't they know that I have died of late years, untuned although. I am but a shape that stands here, a pulseless mold, a pale past picture screening, ashes gone cold. Not a minute's warning, not in a loud hour, for me cease time's enchantments in hall and bower. There was no tragic transit, no catch of breath, when silent seasons inched me on to this death. A troubadour youth I rambled with life for lyre, the beats of being raging in me like fire. But when I practiced eyeing the goal of men, it iced me, and I perished a little then. When passed my friend, my kinsfolk, through the last door, and left me standing bleakly, I died yet more. And when my love's heart kindled in hate of me, wherefore I knew not, I died one more degree. And if when I died fully I cannot say, and changed me into the corpse thing I am today, yet is it that, though whiling the time somehow, in walking, talking, smiling, I live not now. Life is for living, and you do not need to be a walking corpse. I guess that sort of fits it and sort of doesn't, but that's what I'm going for. Number 6. Do you have a specific nonfiction book on the topic of death you'd like to recommend? I'm going to recommend something way out in left field. This is Mind Children, The Future of Robotic and Human Intelligence by Hans Movarik. Now, you're probably going to be scratching your forehead and saying, what does that have to do on the subject of death? Well, in this book, Movarik says we will eventually be advanced enough where you can transfer the contents of your mind and personality into a computer mind, a machine. And once your mind is in the machine, it will essentially live forever as long as the machine can continue to exist. And when that machine grows old, you can transfer yourself into a new machine, or maybe even to a new body in the far future. And this is what is sometimes known as the geek rapture, because it gives you an afterlife without there being an afterlife. And it's called the geek rapture because it really is not entirely plausible. Yes, someday maybe humans will have that technology where we can transfer our brains into robotic bodies, but that does not exist yet. It is a form of reaching, the way religions reach for the afterlife. It is not with us yet. Maybe someday, I say it's going to be available in 30 years, and I will die in 29. That's the way life goes. But that's an interesting view of how to avoid death, at least until the heat death of the universe freezes up the machine you're living in. Number 7, humor can be helpful to confront death. Do you have a favorite witty quote on this subject? Millions long for immortality who do not know what to do with themselves on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Susan Ertz. Well, I know what to do on a rainy Sunday afternoon. Can you guess what I would like to do? I bet you can. Number 8. Does this tag make you feel uneasy? Are you quite relaxed about this topic? Generally speaking, I know I'm going to die, and I'm pretty relaxed. The one thing that really can keep me up at night is the thought of outliving my money, because I'm retired. My wife is going to be retiring in a few months. Yes, we have a pension from my wife's job. We have 401k savings. We should maybe possibly have Social Security to pay out. And if you run it through all those financial programs, it says we have a 95% chance of outliving our money. Oops, I had intended to say that the financial programs give us a 95% chance of dying before exhausting the funds we have available. Some of the estimates give us quite a bit of cash still left over once we kick the bucket. But that also relies on things beyond my control, like the market. Yes, I have a healthy 401k savings plan along with my wife. But if the market takes a really disastrous turn, I could outlive my money. And that scares the bejesus out of me, to be in my 80s or in my 90s and look at my bank account and see no money in there. What the freaking hell would I do then? And that actually scares me more than death does, being impoverished and not be able to pay your own way. But, the also thing is, like, we were going, my wife and I were going to like a retirement conference. The one of the people was talking about this fear of outliving your money and the fact that you don't want to be too scared. You don't want to be one of those people who says, I always wanted a nice circular driveway in front of my house, but refusing to put it in because you're worried about outliving your money. And then you die, and then your children put in that circular driveway for themselves. His recommendation is put it in for yourself and enjoy what you want to enjoy with your money. But still, I do fear outliving money. That would be my biggest fear, more than death. I'm not going to tag anyone in this. If you're watching this and you feel like doing it, go ahead and do it. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading for an awfully long time.